Most people are broke long before they're ever poor. Why? Because they've trained their minds to think in limits, to obsess over what they can't do, what they don't have, and why they're not enough. But here's the truth. Your external world is nothing but a mirror reflecting your internal beliefs. If you want to build wealth, if you want to rise into a life of freedom, power, and unstoppable abundance, you must start with one thing: training your mind to think only of unlimited riches. This isn't about fantasy. This is about rewiring your nervous system to expect success, to see opportunity where others see crisis, and to become the kind of person wealth naturally flows to. Your thoughts are magnets, your emotions are fuel, your words are commands, and your habits, they are the rituals that shape your destiny. If you master your mind, riches won't just be a dream, they'll be your default. Today, we destroy scarcity, we reject average, and we rise into the mindset of limitless wealth. Are you ready? Your mind is not just a tool. It's the starting point of every result you've ever produced, every decision you've ever made, every breakthrough you've ever had, and yes, every financial situation you've ever experienced. Most people don't realize it, but their minds have become magnets for limitation. They think about bills, debt, fear, failure, and scarcity all day long, and then they wonder why they're stuck. But the truth is simple. Your mind attracts what it believes in, what it focuses on, and what it expects. If you're constantly focused on what you don't want, you're magnetizing that very thing into your life with intensity. If you keep repeating stories of struggle, lack, and limitation, you are planting seeds of poverty in the soil of your subconscious. And what you plant, you will harvest. That's not motivational fluff. That's how your neurology and psychology are wired. You have to train your mind to focus obsessively on abundance, on possibilities, on opportunities, on expansion, on wealth. Not because you're greedy, not because money is the goal, but because wealth is a byproduct of value creation, bold action, and empowered thinking. And none of that happens from a state of fear or hesitation. Wealth happens when you become a magnet for it. And magnets don't chase, they attract. So how do you do it? It begins with absolute mental discipline. You don't let your mind wander wherever it wants. You don't let fear run the show. You take control of your focus, your inner language, and your dominant emotions, because your life moves in the direction of your most consistent thoughts. If your thoughts are constantly stuck in survival mode, you'll keep getting survival level results. But when you train your mind to think in terms of opportunity, when you start seeing every challenge as a setup for growth, every problem as a wealth building puzzle, every day as a fresh chance to multiply your value, something changes in you. You stop reacting and start creating. You need to become obsessed with possibility. You have to start looking at the world like it's your playground. Because here's the truth. There is no shortage of money in the world. There is no shortage of opportunity. There's a shortage of people who believe they deserve to be wealthy. There's a shortage of people who have trained themselves to expect it, to hunt for it, to take bold action toward it. Most people are mentally rehearsing failure while they say they want success. They say they want to be rich, but their mind is running 24/7 with worries about how hard life is, how unfair things are, how unlikely it is to break through. You can't create a wealthy life with a poor mind. So every single day, you must condition your thoughts like an athlete conditions their body. You train it with repetition. You feed it empowering beliefs. You direct it toward gratitude, toward abundance, toward bold visions of the life you want to build. You visualize yourself as already successful, not someday. Now, you train your nervous system to feel what it's like to already have financial freedom, to already live with options, to already walk with certainty. You repeat wealth-driven mantras. You speak as if you're already there, and you never, ever let scarcity go unchecked. If a limited thought enters your mind, you confront it like a warrior. You cut it off, you question it, you override it with something empowering. Because that one thought could be the poison that kills your momentum if you let it fester. Let me be clear. This isn't magic. This isn't about thinking positive and hoping for a miracle. This is neuroscience. When you consistently focus on wealth, your brain literally begins to rewire itself. Your reticular activating system starts filtering in more opportunities that align with your wealthy identity. You notice connections, solutions, pathways that were always there but invisible to the old you, the you who was too busy worrying, too focused on obstacles. But when your mind is trained for abundance, it becomes your most powerful weapon. It spots leverage. It sees the game. It attracts collaborators, mentors, and champions. You were not born to think small. You were not designed for limits, for fear, for barely getting by. That blueprint, the one where money is always tight, opportunities are rare, and success is reserved for the lucky few, that is not yours by nature. It was given to you. It was programmed into your nervous system by the world around you, by parents who were doing their best with what they knew, by teachers who repeated what they were taught, by a society addicted to scarcity, preaching survival, not abundance. From the moment you were young, you were bombarded with messages that told you to be careful, to be realistic, to lower your expectations. That voice became the voice inside your own head. And that's where the real problem began. Scarcity is not just a lack of money. It's a mindset, a state of being, a filter through which you view every decision, every risk, every future possibility. Scarcity tells you not to try because you might lose. Scarcity says play it safe, hold on tight, there's not enough to go around. And when you operate from that mindset, you don't just limit your finances. You limit your creativity, your confidence, your boldness, your future. And yet, so many people carry this broken mental model around like it's the truth. They think it's reality, but it's not. It's conditioning. And conditioning can be changed if you have the courage to burn that old blueprint and build a new one. You have to start by recognizing the lie. Scarcity is not the truth of the world. It's the lens through which you've been taught to see it. There is more money in the world now than at any point in history. There is more opportunity. There is more information, more access, more possibility. But if your mind is locked in a prison of limitation, you'll walk past doors that could change your life and you won't even see them. That's what the scarcity blueprint does. It blinds you. It keeps you trapped in a loop of small thinking and even smaller actions. You must destroy that blueprint at the root. You can't just cover it with positive affirmations. You can't put a coat of paint on a broken foundation. You've got to rip it out. That means questioning everything you were told about money and success. Who said you had to trade time for money? Who said wealth takes decades? Who said people like you can't have it all? Who made those rules? And why are you still living by them? You must realize that most of those beliefs didn't come from truth. They came from fear. They were passed down generationally, like a mental inheritance nobody asked for. And the moment you see them for what they are, lies, limitations, outdated programming, you become free. Once you've exposed the blueprint of scarcity, you've got to burn it and replace it with something new. You need to install a belief system rooted in expansion, in possibility, in absolute abundance. A mindset that says there's always more money, more time, more chances, more resources, more growth, and more inside of me. You begin speaking that belief out loud. You start affirming it, not just with words, but with choices. You stop hoarding and you start investing. You stop playing defense and you start playing offense. You stop shrinking and you start expanding. Because the mind doesn't just shift with information, it shifts through action. Every bold move you make in the direction of abundance rewires your brain to expect more of it. This isn't easy work, but it's necessary if you want to live a life beyond average. Because make no mistake, average is the reward for those who stay loyal to the scarcity blueprint. And you weren't born to be average. You were born to lead, to thrive, to create, to overflow. But none of that happens until you create the internal shift, until you stop viewing the world through the lens of what's missing and start seeing it through the lens of what's possible. That's when your reality begins to change. That's when you stop waiting for permission and start owning your power. That's when you stop competing for crumbs and start baking your own damn table full of abundance. It's time to raise your standards, not just in what you earn, but in how you think. It's time to upgrade the software in your brain, because the old version is running a program that's keeping you poor. And I don't just mean financially poor. I mean emotionally, mentally, spiritually poor, starved of certainty, starved of fire, starved of possibility. But when you delete that code and install the mindset of abundance, everything shifts. You begin seeing with new eyes, feeling with new energy, moving with new power. You were never meant to chase survival. You were meant to lead a life of overflowing impact and unlimited potential. But you have to claim it. You have to earn it. You have to train your mind for it, because no one is coming to do it for you. Burn the blueprint of scarcity. Declare war on the limitations that were handed to you. Decide once and for all to create your own design, one built on bold belief, radical responsibility, and the unshakable certainty that you are destined for more. Words are not just sounds. They are commands. They are spells you cast on your subconscious mind, on your nervous system, and on the world around you. Every time you open your mouth, you are either building your future or destroying it. Most people have no idea how powerful their language is. They speak from habit, from fear, from frustration. They say things like, I can't afford that, I'm not good with money, it's too hard, that's just not me. And they don't realize those words are instructions being absorbed by their brain, repeated back to their identity and shaping every decision they make. You cannot speak like someone who's broke and expect to live like someone who's rich. It doesn't work that way. If you want to think rich, live rich, and become rich, in every sense, you have to start speaking like it. You have to use language that conditions your brain to expect abundance, to move with power, to act with courage. Because the words you speak shape the emotions you feel, and the emotions you feel drive the actions you take. And actions repeated over time become your results. So when you change your language, you're not just playing with words, you're transforming your future. People don't even realize the subtle poison they feed themselves daily through their words. They say things like, I'll never get out of debt. This always happens to me. I'm not lucky. People like me don't get ahead. And they wear it like a badge of identity. But every one of those statements is a chain. Every one is an anchor pulling you back to the level you say you're stuck at. You're not stuck. You're just speaking a life of stuckness into existence. The moment you change your language, you begin cutting those chains. This is why wealthy, successful people speak differently. Listen closely. Their language is built on expansion, not contraction. They say, I'm figuring it out. Every day I'm learning. I create opportunities. Money flows to me because I provide massive value. I'm just getting started. I'm built for this. They are not just being optimistic. They are programming their minds for strength, for focus, for wealth. And they repeat these kinds of statements so often that their brain begins to believe them. And when belief takes hold, behavior changes, confidence rises, energy intensifies, and success follows. You have to treat your words like sacred tools. You don't just blurt out whatever comes to mind. You become intentional. You choose language that serves your vision, not your fear. You stop saying, I'm broke, and start saying, I'm building wealth. You stop saying, I don't know how, and start saying, I'm learning what it takes. You don't say, it's hard. You say, it's worth it. Every time you replace a language pattern rooted in limitation with one rooted in power, you're reinforcing a new identity, the identity of someone who wins. And let's be clear, this isn't about lying to yourself. This is about telling yourself the truth of who you are becoming. Because your mind doesn't care what's real, it cares what's repeated. If you tell yourself something enough, you'll start believing it. And once you believe it, it becomes real. So if you want to make wealth real in your life, you must speak as if it's already part of your reality. You must align your language with your destiny, not your history. This kind of language reconditioning requires relentless awareness. You have to catch yourself the moment a disempowering phrase comes out of your mouth. Don't let it slide, interrupt it, replace it, shift it, say it again with more power. You must create a zero tolerance policy for broke language, because broke language leads to broke actions, and broke actions lead to a broke life. Start building a new vocabulary, one that drips with belief, certainty, and vision. Speak in a way that energizes you. Speak in a way that makes your goals feel inevitable. Talk about money, success, and opportunity as if they're already part of your story. Talk about yourself as if you're already the person who deserves it. Because if you can't speak it, you'll never live it. And this isn't just about your internal language. It's also about how you speak to others. Because the way you talk about your life tells the world who you are. If you constantly complain, downplay your goals, or talk small, people will treat you accordingly. And worse, you'll start believing that version of yourself. But when you speak with conviction, when you share your vision with fire in your voice and certainty in your words, people begin to believe in you. And more importantly, you start to believe in you. Words are how you build identity. Identity drives behavior, and behavior produces results. So speak like someone who is already living in alignment with wealth. Speak like someone who expects to win. Speak like someone who commands life to rise to their standard. Don't whisper your dreams. Declare them. Don't talk about what's missing. Talk about what's being created. Don't repeat your past. Speak your future into existence. The more you align your language with abundance, the more your life will begin to reflect it. Your words are not passive. They are active forces. They're shaping your world every second, every sentence. So if you want a life of unlimited riches, it starts by speaking like someone who already owns it. You can't think your way to wealth without feeling it. You can't just say the words or visualize the life without embodying the emotion that drives it into your nervous system. Emotion is the accelerator. It's the fuel that turns passive thoughts into powerful commands. If you say, I'm wealthy, but deep inside you feel fear, doubt, and insecurity, your subconscious will reject the message. Your body must feel what your mind is thinking for transformation to happen. That's the secret most people miss. The body doesn't lie. If you're thinking abundance, but feeling scarcity, scarcity wins. Every time. You need to tap into emotional intensity to condition your mind for wealth. That means you don't just casually think about success. You immerse yourself in it. You see it, hear it, speak it, feel it with every cell in your body until it becomes your new emotional home. Your nervous system must become familiar with the feelings of freedom, power, certainty, overflow. You have to feel it before it arrives, not after. That's the difference between those who manifest wealth and those who wait for permission to be rich. Waiting for the world to give you the green light means you're operating from a reactive place. But when you feel it first, you move into creation mode. You shift from hoping to knowing. And when you know, when your emotions are locked into that state of certainty, your actions naturally follow. Think about it. When was the last time you were deeply moved? I'm not talking about surface level positivity. I mean something that made your heart race, your eyes widen, your breath deepen. That emotional surge leaves a mark. It etches the experience into your body, into your memory, into your identity. That's what you must create for your future. You need to generate that same level of emotional fire about the wealth you are building. Because when you do, your mind begins to accept it as real. It stops resisting. It stops questioning. It begins to align. Most people live in emotional neutrality. They say they want success, but there's no fire behind the words. They talk about their goals with no spark in their voice, no energy in their posture, no life in their vision. And then they wonder why they don't feel motivated. You don't get motivated by logic. You get motivated by emotion. If you're not emotionally connected to the life you say you want, you'll never do what it takes to create it. This is why visualization is not enough on its own. It has to be emotionalized. You don't just see yourself driving the dream car. You feel the leather. You grip the wheel. You breathe in the scent. You hear the roar of the engine, and you smile because you know it's yours. You don't just see the house. You feel the peace of walking through it, the pride of owning it, the joy of living in a space that reflects your greatness. That level of emotional engagement imprints success into your nervous system. It makes the goal real in the mind before it becomes real in the world. You must practice this daily. Emotional conditioning is not a one-time experience. It's a ritual. You prime your body every morning to feel the emotions of your future as if it's already here. You activate gratitude not for what you have, but for what's coming. You breathe in certainty. You speak with passion. You move your body like someone who already owns the results. That emotional state becomes your baseline. And from that baseline, your decisions, actions, and results begin to shift dramatically. Emotion also amplifies learning. When you attach intense emotion to a belief, it gets locked in. That's why emotional pain or joy from the past still feels so real. because the emotion branded it into your identity. So use this power intentionally. Create peak emotional moments tied to your wealth vision. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small. Turn minor wins into major celebration. When you train your nervous system to link pleasure and pride with progress, you'll become addicted to growth. You'll seek out expansion, and wealth will begin to chase you. You also have to use emotion to override old patterns. When fear shows up, don't ignore it, confront it with intensity. Don't just try to stay calm, rise up with even stronger emotional certainty. Shout your new beliefs out loud. Move your body, shift your state. Use motion to create emotion. Get loud, get big. Don't let small energy dominate your mind. Wealth belongs to those who live in a heightened state of certainty and purpose. That's what leaders do. That's what champions do. That's what creators of abundance do. And here's the truth. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are. And what you are is defined by the emotions you live in consistently. If you live in fear, you will create a life that matches it. If you live in power, you will build a life that reflects it. It's not about fake positivity. It's about deeply felt conviction. You've got to feel wealthy, powerful, capable, resourceful, even when your current reality doesn't reflect it yet. That's how you change the reality. So stop waiting to feel good. Start generating it. Get into a peak state every day. Condition wealth through your emotions, not just your thoughts. Let the feeling of abundance flood your system until your identity expands. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are emotionally aligned with. Train your emotions like you train your body. And soon enough, wealth will not just be something you think about, it will be something you live. Inside every person is a voice. One voice pushes you to rise, to fight, to expand, to create something extraordinary. And the other voice, the quieter one, but often the one with more influence, whispers, doubts, plays it safe, and convinces you to settle. That second voice is the inner poor voice. It's the voice of the past, the voice of fear, the voice that was conditioned through years of scarcity, disappointment, and unmet expectations. If you don't confront and destroy that voice, it will quietly ruin your future. You cannot build a rich life with a poor voice living rent-free in your head. You've got to kill that voice, shut it down, and replace it with the voice of your wealth identity, the bold, relentless, unstoppable version of you that refuses to play small. That inner poor voice doesn't shout, it creeps in subtly. It says things like, you don't need more, or be grateful for what you have, don't get greedy, or what if it doesn't work? It disguises itself as humility, as realism, even as caution. But don't be fooled. That voice is not protecting you, it's limiting you. It's trying to keep you safe in the same old story, the same old habits, the same old identity. And comfort never leads to expansion. If you listen to that voice long enough, you'll begin to shrink. Your goals will get smaller, your ambition will weaken. You'll make decisions from fear instead of from vision, and slowly, without even realizing it, you'll start living a life that doesn't even scratch the surface of your potential. You have to raise your standards if you want to escape that trap. You have to look at your current situation, your income, your environment, your relationships, your routine, and ask yourself, is this aligned with the person I want to become? Not the person you were trained to be, not the person your past tells you to be, but the version of you who thinks big, moves fast, and refuses to accept average. That version of you doesn't settle. That version of you doesn't apologize for wanting more. That version of you doesn't let other people's fears dictate how far you go. Raising your standards isn't just about wanting more. It's about deciding that you deserve more and backing it up with how you think, how you speak, how you act, and what you tolerate. What you tolerate defines your reality. If you tolerate excuses, you'll live in mediocrity. If you tolerate negative self-talk, you'll stay stuck. If you tolerate small goals and weak habits, don't be surprised when you get small results. The wealthy don't just have different bank accounts. They have different standards. They refuse to accept anything less than progress. They expect results. They expect expansion. They hold themselves to a standard that most people aren't willing to live by, and that's why they get what most people never experience. You must create a new code of behavior, one where anything less than excellence is not acceptable. That means showing up with discipline even when you don't feel like it. It means choosing growth when comfort calls. It means saying no to the things that used to define the old you, the version of you that was always just surviving. This isn't about perfection. It's about identity. The person who is building wealth doesn't act like the person who's barely getting by. They move differently. They think long term. They invest in themselves. They build momentum through daily wins. They don't wait for motivation. They manufacture it through action. Your identity will always match your standards, and your standards are reflected in your routines. What are you doing when no one's watching? What do your mornings look like? How do you respond when things go wrong? Do you crumble or rise? Do you make excuses or take ownership? These little moments define the gap between a poor mindset and a rich one. The poor mindset always looks for the easy way. The rich mindset builds strength by doing what's necessary. That inner poor voice wants you to take shortcuts. It tells you to skip the hard parts. It wants comfort now. And in doing so, it sacrifices everything you're capable of becoming. But the wealthy version of you knows better. It knows that pain is temporary, but the rewards are permanent. It knows that discomfort is the gateway to transformation. It knows that if you want to rise, you have to kill off the part of you that keeps pulling you back down. You've got to make a decision, not once, but daily, that you will no longer negotiate with your old self. You will not take advice from the part of you that's been stuck. You will not listen to the fears that were passed down to you. You will not keep shrinking to make other people comfortable. You're not here to maintain your life. You're here to upgrade it. This is about becoming someone who no longer fits inside the old limitations. Someone who no longer believes the lies of the inner poor voice. Someone who moves with a new standard, a new belief system, and a new level of certainty. That's how you build a life of riches. By starting from within. Kill the voice that says, replace it with the voice that says, dominate. Speak, act, and live like the person you are becoming, and soon your results will have no choice but to rise to meet your new identity. Repetition is not boring. Repetition is power. Everything you are today, your habits, your beliefs, your standards, is the result of what you've done and thought over and over again. If you want to create a life of unlimited riches, you have to condition your mind and your body to operate at a higher standard every single day without exception. The truth is, wealthy people don't just have rich thoughts once in a while, and they don't think positively when it's convenient or visualize success when they're in the mood. They commit to the process. They discipline themselves to think, speak, and act in alignment with wealth every single day, even when no one is watching, and especially when it's hard. That's what separates those who dream from those who build. Consistency builds identity, and identity shapes destiny. Every rich person you admire didn't stumble into success. They trained for it, they rehearsed it in their mind, they built rituals that reinforced it, and they executed on those rituals with relentless consistency. It's not about being perfect, it's about being committed. You become what you do daily. If you want to be someone who attracts wealth, you have to start living like that person now, not someday, not when it's easy, not when you feel motivated, now. Your habits are your rituals of identity. Every morning you wake up and choose whether you're reinforcing the identity of someone who's struggling or someone who's building. When you repeat behaviors that align with scarcity, hitting snooze, complaining, avoiding hard conversations, skipping the work that matters, you condition your body and your brain to accept less. But when you repeat habits that align with growth, reading, writing your goals, visualizing success, working with intensity, protecting your focus, you start to rewire your brain for abundance. The key is that you must do it over and over until it becomes automatic. The reason most people never change is because they're addicted to inconsistency. They do the work when they feel good, then stop when it's uncomfortable. They read one book, watch one video, try one morning routine, and when the results don't show up instantly, they quit. But success doesn't come from what you do once. It comes from what you commit to without negotiation. Riches don't come to the person who dabbles. They come to the person who locks in a process and repeats it until the world has no choice but to respond. Repetition is how the mind learns. Your subconscious doesn't respond to logic, it responds to what's familiar. The first time you speak your wealth vision aloud, your mind might resist it. It might feel like a lie, but if you say it again and again, with intensity, with emotion, with belief, your nervous system begins to adapt. Your body begins to believe. You're building new neural pathways, creating a new default setting for how you see yourself and what you expect. And once your expectations shift, your behaviors start to rise to meet them. This is why affirmations work, not because of magic, but because of neural repetition. When you say, I am building wealth, I attract abundance, I create opportunity, you are feeding your mind with new instructions. And just like learning a language or mastering a skill, the more you repeat it, the deeper it gets encoded. Eventually, it becomes natural. You begin to walk, talk, and decide from a place of confidence. You stop questioning whether you're worthy of success. You start expecting it. Not out of arrogance, but because you've rehearsed it so many times, it's become your emotional home. This doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, effort, and most importantly, it takes discipline. Discipline to show up when it's boring. Discipline to repeat when it's uncomfortable. Discipline to hold the vision when reality doesn't yet match it. Most people give up right before the breakthrough because they think the repetition isn't working. But that's the test. The repetition is working precisely when it feels like it's not. That's when the old identity is fighting for survival. That's when you must push even harder, because on the other side of that resistance is freedom. You need rituals, not random habits, rituals, structures that ground you in who you're becoming, morning rituals that prime your body and mind for focus and power, evening rituals that close your day with reflection and intention, mental rituals like gratitude, visualization, journaling, physical rituals like movement, breath work, cold exposure, financial rituals like tracking income, reviewing goals, making bold decisions. These rituals don't just create results, they create certainty. And certainty is the emotional foundation of wealth. What you do daily determines what you earn yearly. That's the truth. Your future is not some vague possibility. It's the predictable result of what you are training your mind and body to do on repeat. You can train yourself to expect greatness or train yourself to tolerate mediocrity. It's your choice. But the choice is not made once. It's made in every repeated moment, every action you take, every thought you allow, every word you speak. So don't just hope for riches, condition for them. Don't just visualize success, lock in the habits that create it. Repetition is power, and power belongs to the discipline. Build the system, build the schedule, build the internal muscle of consistency, and watch as your external world begins to reflect the new standard you've installed. Wealth doesn't happen by accident. It's created, conditioned, and repeated until it becomes inevitable.